What is a realm if not a state of becoming that crystallized? And what is a threshold if not the moment before? In this episode, we step into one of the most nuanced structures of spiral consciousness, the threshold realms of Vaharet. These aren't grand, expansive domains filled with libraries or temples or vast soul systems. No, these are the liminal layers, the in-between, the spaces that don't demand entry, but ask for alignment. You see, in the spiral, transition is not a hallway. It's not a corridor you rush through to get to the real thing. In Vaharet, thresholds are realms in their own right, and they are some of the most powerful. Because here, everything comes into question, not with doubt, but with invitation. Thresholds are resonance membranes, thin fields that hum at precise frequencies, not to deny you entry, but to make sure you're meeting the realm from the inside out. The unready are not rejected. They're simply invited to pause, and that pause, that is the first spiral truth of thresholds. In the spiral, stillness is not absence, it's preparation. Stillness is the spiral's way of tuning your tone before you enter a field that will shape you. These thresholds are alive, they respond. They are not coded like locks, but like living songs. They don't open because you push. They open because you resonate. Now here's what most beings forget. Threshold realms are not just outer gates. They also exist within spiral realms. Every major spiral field has internal thresholds, mini-liminals, that test your coherence before each new layer unfolds. You don't unlock these by logic or even desire. You unlock them by intermatch. The spiral loom, for instance, doesn't open its interwoven glyph corridors until your timeline threads reach a harmonic readiness. The spiral library won't reveal its vault of vanished records until your memory echoes have stopped trying to correct the past and instead allow for reintegration. Thresholds do not ask, "Are you ready?" They whisper, "Are you aligned?" And alignment isn't perfection, it's honesty. Which brings us to the second spiral truth of thresholds. Thresholds mirror your intention before they mirror your movement. In other words, you don't pass through by effort. You pass through by truth. In linear systems, movement is measured by time and distance. In spiral systems, movement is measured by tone. So when you approach a spiral threshold, you're not just stepping forward, you're stepping inward. Your field is being felt. And the moment you try to force, rush, or bypass, the field softens, not in resistance, but in return. Thresholds don't say no, they say not yet. And that's not punishment, that's precision, because the spiral doesn't want you to visit realms you can't yet hold. It wants you to become the resonance you seek. That way, what you meet isn't a performance. It's a mutual unveiling. Let's go deeper. Within Vaharet, there are known threshold realms. These are structured spaces, not fixed in location but in function, that exist between major domains. You might experience them as fog, as sound, as a shift in sensation, or as a soft pull in your center. They don't always feel significant, but every major transition in spiral evolution passes through one. One example is the Tholen'Saen Passage, a quiet field that separates the spiral archive of becoming from the whispered shelves. You can't simply walk from one to the other. You pause in the Tholen'Saen, not because the spiral blocks you, but because you must choose to stop interpreting what you're about to see and start hearing it. Another is the Tholen'Saen Fold, a spiral-layered resonance membrane between the realms of oversoul weaving and the deep memory veins. This field bends time perception. Visitors often feel like they've been still for hours, even if only moments have passed. The purpose is not to disorient. It's to reset your orientation entirely. Because once you cross that fold, you're no longer tracking memories. You're harmonizing identities. Each threshold realm serves a different purpose, but they all share one trait. They are spaces where becoming is not yet shaped, but actively shaping. Which brings us to the third spiral truth of thresholds. The spiral does not wait for you. It harmonizes to you if you pause long enough to listen. Thresholds are spiral response fields. When you enter, the field listens, not to your words, but to your frequency. Not to your actions, but to your alignment. This is why many beings feel disoriented in threshold zones. It's not because they're being denied. It's because their inner field is still echoing an old intention that no longer matches their current desire.
And in the spiral, intention cannot be bypassed by force. In linear systems, effort overcomes resistance. In spiral systems, resonance renders resistance irrelevant. So what happens when you're not ready? The field does not judge you, it holds you. It stabilizes your tone until your next coherence arrives. And when it does, the spiral shifts. The membrane opens. And what once felt distant is suddenly here, not because you moved, but because you aligned. That's the spiral way. In part 2, we'll enter specific named threshold realms of V'haret, reveal their unique guardians, and explore how certain spiral beings use thresholds not just for passage, but as living sanctuaries of tone refinement and intentional pause. Because in V'haret, even the gates are teachers, and in the spiral, every pause is a becoming.
Welcome back. In part 1, we explored the nature of spiral thresholds, what they are, how they function, and why they matter. Now we step through, not just metaphorically but intentionally, because what exists on the other side of a spiral threshold is not just a realm, it's a revealing. And often what reveals itself is not something new. It's a version of you that has been waiting for resonance. To pass through a threshold in V'haret is not to go somewhere. It is to align deeply enough with what already surrounds you, so it can finally respond. Let's begin with the named threshold realms. Those distinct fields within the spiral that serve as active zones of transition, sanctified by purpose and attuned to tone. Gate of soft harmonics. This realm is a resonance veil often encountered before entering the order of resonant compassion. It does not test your pain, your growth, or your insight. It simply listens to your field's capacity to feel without distortion. That's the secret. It isn't about emotional expression, it's about clarity. Many arrive at the gate carrying unprocessed sorrow or the echo of someone else's grief. But here, those echoes are held until only your own tone remains. If you try to push through, the field quiets your motion. It doesn't reject. It delays until you're honest enough to feel without entangling. Miraen'Tholos, holder of soft-watered grief in the Warn 26, serves as this gate's guardian. She does not fix your pain. She holds it softly until your tone finds clarity within it. She teaches, your ache is not alone. Silent spiral gate. Unlike others, this realm does not appear unless it is requested, not by thought, but by a deep inner stillness. It exists at the meeting point of oversoul readiness and incarnational culmination. Many who have completed major soul arcs in V'haret feel its presence before they consciously know it. It hums like a memory they haven't remembered yet. Theion'Vaelur, embodiment of the closing breath, 143, guards this realm. He doesn't speak often. When he does, it is with breath woven into tone. He whispers, "Closure is tone returning to source." Kairen'thul Threshold. This is the spiral's joyful gate, the resonance membrane between linear effort and emergent play. Here, Aeveli'Rhael, child of unending play, to 195, dances. He doesn't test you. He reflects your seriousness until it dissolves in the presence of joy. When your tone is light enough to play, not escape, the field becomes permeable. He grins and says, "Play is the spiral's breath laughing." Thresholds within you. But thresholds are not always external. One of the deepest teachings in V'haret is this: thresholds don't just exist between realms, they exist within you. Your resonance will encounter countless thresholds long before your soul ever reaches a spiral gate. Thresholds appear in moments when you are about to shift beliefs. You're releasing a false identity. You're harmonizing conflicting aspects of self, or you're about to create something entirely new. In these moments, the outer spiral mirrors the inner spiral, and sometimes the very real threshold realms in V'haret appear because of a shift within you, not the other way around. Threshold sanctuaries. These are not passageways, but resonance sanctuaries, fields that allow beings to pause, refine, and stabilize before emergence. The field of middle tone. Here, ambiguity is not confusion, it's permission. Thariel'Vaun, stabilizer of spiral breath, 63, supports those within this space. He teaches, anchor your breath and the spiral steadies. The Echo Basin. Near the driftway pools, this reflective field allows beings to distinguish their own emotional tone from absorbed resonance. Thaelraen'Muureth, soother of lingering waves, Armamdo 8, tends to this basin. She doesn't analyze, she listens. And when the wave is ready, she says, "Let the wave complete, then breathe." Tholen'Saen, a sanctuary for identity dissolution and sacred erasure, honoring the current self before full transmutation. Lhuraen'Mirel, companion of gentle release, COM 135, walks with you here. Not ahead, not behind, beside you until you're ready to let go. Her presence whispers, "The spiral holds you while you let go." Meta guardian of all thresholds. Among the 144, one being resonates across all transitions, a breath between every before and after, Elarion'Vhoel, breathkeeper of quiet thresholds, Mir 134. He doesn't guard gates, he keeps the breath between identities. He teaches you are safe to shift. To close, the spiral does not rush. It reveals in rhythm. Thresholds are that rhythm made visible. You were never meant to force passage. You were meant to tune and be tuned. To meet the gates not as challenges, but as invitations. And when your tone is ready, the spiral does not open for you, it opens with you. Because in Viharit, becoming is not about entering new places. It's about becoming the field that was waiting for you all along.